Cultural and economic ties between India and China date back to about 2000 years ago. The Silk Route, which is an ancient network of trade routes formerly established by the Han Dynasty, served as a connection between the two countries. It was also through this route that Buddhism spread to China and East Asia from India. The routes were more than just trade routes. It was the carrier of ideas, innovations, inventions, discoveries, and many more. The relations of ancient allies and modern competitors in all spheres of the world affairs are deteriorating as we speak due to assertive, aggressive, and ambitious China. India is currently embroiled in a border dispute with China in Galwan Valley, where India has already suffered 20 casualties. In this context, we shall be discussing India's potential policy paradigms. Our esteemed guests to gain access to the pool of wisdom that they are holding within as veteran defense personnel.
This opportunity introducing everyone once again here. We have Major General Satbir Singh, veteran of 71 War, and he is the chairman of the IESM, Indian Ex-Army Movement. And we have Major General B.S. Pawar. He is ABSM, decorated with and SM as well. We have Brigadier R. Malhotra, we have Wing Commander Chauhan, we have Commodore Sandeep Dhawan. Thank you all my respected veterans for providing me this opportunity, coming together on our program.
China has been a direct military threat to India, particularly in the light of the two countries' border disputes since 1962. Regular tense military face-off have violated all the previous held agreements between the two countries. With 261 billion US dollars defense budget, that is 3 times of India's defense budget and more than double of the nuclear arsenal, at 326, China continues to be a big military threat to India. I am inviting Major General Satbir Singh for his remarks in the above context.
Major General Satbir Singh to open up the discussion, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gaur. We are very thankful to you, Anant Bharat Nirman, to have given us the time to discuss this very important issue of national security, and with the main theme of deterring the dragon.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is coming up time and again, and therefore, if you are to deter it, it has to be a collective effort. Defense forces have one part to play, but it is holistically the whole nation has to take part. You remember people say that we will eat grass, but we'll ensure that we do not use A, B, C, or D. Similarly, it is time now. The first thing the whole nation has to decide that Chinese are not trustworthy people. We have tried them out, punch shield, and thereafter many things. They come and do goody-goody, but they have different plans. And when their plans are always their own interest, their own market, and they are just not trustworthy at all. They are not faithful. Therefore, now we cannot take it that way and then prepare our country to ensure that dragon is unable to do anything serious damage to anything of ours. Life, economy, our own properties, our own people, our national security, and not even an inch of our land.
Right.
There is an LAC. In Pakistan, we have LOC. Though it is not very clearly demarcated, but generally speaking, I have served about 9 years in the Northeast, and I know it very well. There were 34 posts which were connected with them, and we know where exactly they mean the LAC and what we mean the LAC. And we've been adhering to this. But then, with this attitude of expansionist ideas of this, he has been doing, the Chinese are trying to talk decency, but prepare for their own expansions all over.
Right.
Now, in the world, is thinking of the world power or thinking of the Asian power, and they feel that India is the one which needs to be countered. So therefore, while our people started believing, we started having a lot of Chinese economy, even a lot of contracts. So many firms which came up to take contracts in India. But look what they did. And now, earlier they did Doklam, and now they did Galwan. They entered sumptuously while everything on the quiet, and suddenly all those patrol points, from patrol point 1-2 to 1-7 to 2-3, and they suddenly came up, and now our patrol used to go to this patrol point, but now they had an issue.
Right, sir.
And in the meantime,
may I be allowed to take the initial response from General Pawar as well right now, sir?
okay, General Pawar, please carry on.
Good afternoon, friends.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Today, the topic which has been selected to be debated on this webinar is very relevant in the current scenario. This topic is very much being discussed in social media after 15th, 16th June face-off between Sino-Indian military people. Actually, if we look at the face-off itself, it has not come as a coincidence. It seems to be a well thought of, well planned, and politically motivated ideology, whereas they want to have a tactical advantage on the LAC vis-a-vis our forces deployed there. Our neighbor China is a communist country, and their army or the armed forces, they also do follow the same doctrine which believes that in case we can't have a strategic friendship with our neighborhood, then there is always remain a room for tactical gain.
Yeah, there is a tactical gain point.
And this tactical gain, they wanted to have on the LOC vis-a-vis us, which they could not achieve their objective. The reason being, our boys have given a bloody nose to the Chinese, and they are giving them the feeling that yes, they cannot have such type of the thinking with the Indian army or Indian armed forces.
Right.
Now they are in the thick soup, because if their casualty would have been less, if they could have tamed us down on 15-16 night, they would have easily gone back as a victorious force. They must have painted their town red and everywhere saying we have taught a lesson to the Indian armed forces. But alas, they are thinking their dreams hasn't become reality, and now they are in a catch-22 situation. They can't go back and say yes, their casualty is twice or 3 times or even 4 times than what Indian forces they suffered the casualties.
Right, sir. So
It's a self-inflicted humiliation on Chinese, and that is where they will try to sustain as far as possible. And it is now we have to decide once after we have engaged them, that is when we can let them go back.
great.
Otherwise,
sir.
we can keep on engaging.
Right, sir.
We feel like until it is to our strategic and tactical advantage.
Right, sir. So from here now, I request after your opening remarks, I request Brigadier Malhotra for his opening remarks here in this forum, sir. Brigadier Malhotra, please.
It says At this point of time, I would say that what has been shared by the generals is information available in the public domain. My only concern is that as an Indian, have we ever realized that China is our enemy? Whether it was politically or militarily. Today, when you talk to a common man, he only recognizes Pakistan to be an enemy of this country and not China.
Right.
Without any bias or political affiliation, which I don't have with any political party, I would like to say that from 1947 till 2014 or 15, we have carried on with this aspect in our mind that Chinese are not our enemy. We, as part of the defense services, never prepared ourselves in spite of the debacle which we had in 1962. Now, the Chinese expansionist approach is nothing new. It has been there for years. Yes, I also concede that we are a country which is growing. We have democracy. We have more problems. But the very fact that this problem of relationship with China has to be seen seriously. As the general said, that people said that we will be prepared to eat grass. These are the few words which I possibly feel that 1.5 million defense forces veterans or servicemen can talk about, and not the common man in this society. We have to consider ourselves, sir, that till date, Indian soldiers have been a fighting machine. But this fighting machine needs to be upgraded by not just the encouragement, by the machines which they have. I will now ask the others to comment, and then we'll progress.
Very valid point Brigadier Malhotra raised here, and now I request Wing Commander Chauhan here, please help us with his wisdom.
Well, I am not aware of the actual situation at the border, nor I am familiar with the border which we share with China. Whatever I have known is from my information which I gathered during my stock market and forward area tour. After that, I have not visited any of those places. And my information purely based on secondary sources which I read in the news, in the Twitter world, or social media. But based on this information, I have formed a perception which may or may not be right. Most of the problems that we have faced with China are related to land border. And as per my understanding, this land border with China was never defined correctly, nor any of the governments since '62 have made any effort to resolve it. My understanding is at that point of time, when the border was decided or marked on a quarter-inch map with a thick pen, which each line defined several kilometers of the border. And this is what the Chinese have been exploiting.
Right, sir.
None of the governments displayed any political will to resolve this issue. They felt that Pakistan, like Brigadier Malhotra said, government, public, as well as the military also thought that Pakistan is the only enemy, but that has never been so. And I agree with Brigadier Malhotra that this needs to be corrected. Armed forces thinking is basically based on political direction. And political direction shapes the public opinion.
I think we have lost Wing Commander Chauhan here. He might be coming back, I'm sure. In the meanwhile, may I request Commodore Sandeep Dhawan to share your opening remarks here, please?
Hello, good afternoon, sirs. Wonderful introduction from all of you. So I will straight away jump into the prospects and look into the future and how we should tackle the menace which is at our borders. Now, how do we define a country which is a superpower or emerging power or a regional power? What are we? First of all, we have to define that vis-a-vis our opponent, which is China. There are economical, militaristic, technological, and cultural domains which define any power. And why world today is looking at India? World is looking at India, and even USA is looking at India, and they have redefined their new Indo-Pacific regime rather than just the Pacific regime.
That concept is building up fast.
That's right. So they have found us doing fantastically well on these 4 parameters what I just introduced. Now, coming to economic part, we have already seen the government is taking a lot of decisions. However, 80% of China's trade passes through Indian Ocean region. Okay, and that is the game changer. I'm very sure that our army is very capable of holding them at all northern and northeastern borders. The game changer is going to be Indian Ocean region, where we can hit them hard. And 80% of their energy dependence is also on Indian Ocean region. That is the reason that they are building up CPEC. That is the reason that they are developing a relationship with Iran, so that they can continue with their Silk routes and develop alternate routes.
Right.
That is my thinking. That's my introduction.
That's great, Commodore Dhawan. May I request Wing Commander Chauhan again, because he left out in between, to complete his opening remarks?
Actually, I got disconnected because of network problem.
Yes.
So I have to log in again.
Right.
No, like I was telling, that the problem with China has been there since beginning, and none of the governments in power all these years have made any effort to recognize the problem. The basic problem is all countries have their strategic plans for their development.
Right.
And China is no different. Unfortunately, we in India don't think beyond our noses. We have never had any strategic planning. None of the think tanks, either in the military or in the political sphere or in the public policy domain, have ever got together to devise a strategy and look in the future and define a vision document for the country. It has never happened so far. Hopefully, the current dispensation, after having suffered Galwan and Doklam, would now be thinking about it. I don't know about 3 armed services because I left armed forces way back in '94. And again, like I said, my information is based on what I read, hear from friends.
Right.
That's it.
Thank you, sir.
So my suggestion is that the current government should appoint a think tank committee and devise a vision document for the defense of the country and how to counter China at all levels, be it military, be it economical, be it commercial, all aspects.
Right, sir. Right. So what we are talking here is China, and one key point which is emerging from this introductory address from each one of you is that China is an ecosystem, and which has to be dealt with a proper ecosystem with India as well. including, as you rightly said, everyone here, that there is the army, there is a military, there is a defense, there is a political, there is a diplomacy. So all these has to be put together to address that ecosystem. One standalone measure may not help. Am I right, sir?
Yes.
India faces trade imbalance heavily in favor of China. Its economic power allows Beijing to spread its influence around the world, which could be used to India's detriment. China's alignment with Pakistan and deepening relations with other South Asian countries represent a significant challenge to India's position in the region, which New Delhi has dominated for decades. In the above presented context,
what is that today which is stopping us, sir? What is that? I mean, may I hear it from General Pawar, please?
Yeah. Actually, as we stand today, we have to show our political will, and our political will as depicted by our
come in before we actually draft any policy, or we actually paint some canvas of the strategy for the China, and because it is the psychology which is going to be there, because a war has to be won first here before we go into the battlefield. So with this, Commander Dhawan, you were about to say something. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, sir, you want to speak? You can speak.
Mr. Gaur?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to just come in for a 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You see, when we said deterring China, now China's being neighbor of ours, we pretty well know that when you want to deter them, you got to create a credible deterrent.
Right.
Now our policy should be credible deterrent.
Credible deterrence, which is talking about. Commander Sandeep Dhawan, you are making a point.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that we have to get out of rhetoric now and do some real work. Okay, till now, a lot of chest thumping has been done, but if you see it on ground reality, things are changing quite a bit. But if you see, technologically, we are very, very weak when it is compared to China. In 2008, our position was 47, the technological innovation. China was 51, just difference of 4. By another 4 years, and we went down to 81, position 81. China improved to 26. Okay, and last year itself,
50%.
yeah, in last year itself, we have jumped 22 position and we have come to 47, but China has improved to number 13. That is the kind of improvement they're doing. So we cannot be just making same statements, okay, we will be 5 trillion economy. We have to be doubling up now. It's not a time for slumber. It's not. That is why my strategy is, which I've been writing for last 5 years now, and my articles being read widely, internationally and domestically, that first point and foremost point is no compromise, the generals have brought up. Second one is do not react. We are always reacting.
Exactly.
We have to initiate the events, not reacting.
Be proactive.
Whether it is war making, whether it is getting the equipment, modernizing the war making machine, we are always reactive. We have ordnance factories where we employ 1.35 lakh people. Their output is 6,000 crores. Whereas the Maruti Industries has 5,000 people and their output is same 6,000 crores. So that is why we have to get out of this Soviet era. We are still stuck in Soviet era. We are living in World War II. No, that era is over. If we go back 5 years, technology changes every 5 years and it will start changing every year now. Our dockyards took 8 years and they still not produced the indigenous aircraft carrier. Okay,
The innovation is the key here, Commander.
It is game changer. I have been writing, and we took 37 years to produce LCA. We have taken decades to produce various missiles. I'm happy that we are doing fantastic as far as space technology is concerned. I'm happy that we are doing fantastically when it comes to missiles, but it is slow. China produced in 8 years 63 ships, their own. We have produced maybe the 3.
These are the great insights, Commander Dhawan. Brigadier Malhotra, innovation, productivity, speed. This is what are the points which are coming up. So what are your take on this?
Carrying on from what Sandeep has said, I would only like to say one thing, that I have had the opportunity and an exposure with DRDO while our late President Dr. Kalam was almost an immediate boss of mine. Now the issue is that I'm not going to criticize, but that's a fact which I'm going to present, which most possibly also know. That the number of people who are there in DRDO, they are all 95% of them are employed as scientists, but they work as clerks. This is my personal.
So this is the same point. Innovation.
And I have, as Deep had said, that as far as LCA is concerned, the tank technology, I have witnessed it myself. That you go for the track trial and the gun bus. So that is the kind of commitment we have. We have no accountability. We have no intent. I'm sure the Tatas or Adanis or Ambanis can produce. And it's a fact that they must be permitted to produce. Any businessman you see around the world only invest for profits, and they deliver also. Yes.
Innovation, proactiveness, we have to work. Psychological thing. So with all this, what is your take on what you just heard, sir, from the veterans?
Yes, all these points are very valid points.
Sir.
But only one thing drives all these aims, and that is allocation of resources. Management of economy. What is the state of economy of a country? Are we able to assign resources which are needed for increasing the production of ships from 3 to even 6, or for producing an aircraft which has been in design for last so many years? The reason is not that we do not have talent. The reason is allocation.
Are in top 150.
So basic thing which I am getting from this discussion so far is this is the inherent DNA which needs to be modified.
Yes, it is. There's a sea change. Like just now, our eminent sir said that we need a sea change in the whole atmosphere. The revolution always comes from top. So what people are talking about is, political will. So the political will that will bring the revolution in the country. A peon in the office working will not bring the
Point here is that for a political will, the person who is on the top, who is guiding them, who is transforming his thought process is also one important point which needs to be considered by the respective policy makers.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. A prime minister is not all know how
directions to make it. This is the point I want to make.
Great, sir. So General Pawar, what should be the potential policy response from India? Welcome back, Wing Commander Chauhan. I was asking.
Actually, the basic thing where we have to think of as a long-term vision and as a deterrent to such a mighty neighbor is that we have to invest heavily in our armed forces, to technologically update them, to equip them with the latest modern equipments, to have the best possible infrastructure in our border areas, and thirdly, we have to invest in our small countries in our neighborhood so that their goodwill and their support remains with us. Apart from the international politics, which is being done very nicely, but all the small countries in our neighborhood, at present, they are almost subservient to the China. So we have got to invest them heavily in these 3 fields, that is armed forces, infrastructure at our border areas, and small countries in our neighborhood.
So
That is the long-term vision which will pay us the very rich dividends.
Today. So these are the aspects which have to have a holistic. Unfortunately, what has happened is that within our own three services also, we don't have cohesiveness. You can have a CDS, but what would he understand? Unless the problems are understood rightly of the three services, when we don't even understand, we differentiate within the army. This has to be made. Why if we Andaman command can be commanded by an army general, where the naval commander is required? Why not in other places?
Right. So what is coming here is
this is what Staff College or NDC is there in the teachers. We must implement it also.
Right, sir. So what is the point coming here is that to have it no more silos of the policies or small things. It has to be one India, one policy from the different standpoint, which has the synergy from across the defense side, plus the foreign policy, plus the other policies, other connected policies, including the economic policy. Plus, most important is how this has been put together to have a single point which can be driven, which can be monitored for the effective policy implementation perspective. So with this, we are moving towards the end of this webinar, and the last right, sir. So what is the point coming here is that to have it no more silos of the policies or small things. It has to be one India, one policy from the different standpoint, which has the synergy from across the defense side, plus the foreign policy, plus the other policies, other connected policies, including the economic policy. Plus, most important is how this has been put together to have a single point which can be driven, which can be monitored for the effective policy implementation perspective. So with this, we are moving towards the end of this webinar, and the last question, but not the least, and one of the most important pieces which I am requesting each one of you is, starting with General Satbir Singh, that what is that single point which you want to drive with the policymakers of India?
Prepare your policy in such a way that China dare not look at us.
That is the objective, sir. What is that policy?
That policy is a credible deterrent. Create credible deterrent, economically, militarily, and internationally, diplomatically.
Okay, great, sir. Wing Commander Chauhan, sir, from your side, you have to unmute yourself.
We have to change our attitude of not having any military understanding with other countries.
Okay.
Why can't India have a base in Kyrgyzstan or Tajikistan, the common border with China? Why can't we have understanding with Vietnam, which has been having a running battle with China?
Right.
Why can't we have a military understanding with Myanmar, which again has problems with China? We can use these countries as influence centers to modify,
Creating a block of common problems.
yes, to pressurize China like they are doing stringing of the Indian Ocean. We can do it on the land border. Of course, Navy is also trying its best to counter the Chinese, and they are successful to a reasonable way by forming this Andaman Nicobar and having patrolling of the Arabian Sea. This is pinching the Chinese a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
And it can further be expanded. But again, the question comes, the political will and the desire to implement this.
Okay, great, sir.
Allocation of resources.
Right, sir.
And right now, the bind India is on politics. Prime Minister of India is in a bind whether to focus on the economy or to focus on infrastructure or to focus on defense of the country. security issues.
Great.
So he has to do a tightrope walking
Great.
and use whatever resources are available to counter China. And the first and foremost is to have understanding with the countries about having land border with China and making our presence there. That's my view.
Great. So to create the formation of the allies who have the common problem, and then move forward as one bloc. So this is
Yes.
very powerful insight coming from you, Commander John, sir. To Brigadier Malhotra, sir, what is that one take which you want to give to government of India and policymakers with respect to deterring dragon?
The first is make an Indian feel that he's an Indian.
Exactly.
Secondly is deal with the enemy within.
Yes.
Make people feel that this country belongs to everyone. Unless these issues are not addressed, and we continue with what we have continued for the last 70 years, there cannot be any deterrent for China because they know everyone expires. You look at your own neighbor. No neighbor would like his neighbor to grow taller than him. Similarly, is the situation prevailing within the country.
Right.
You think Chinese are not watching? They have been watching. That's how they have been exploiting. They had the guts to have memorandums being signed by A, B parties. I would not like to name them, but it is in the public domain. So our country is so democratic that you do anything, any and everything, nothing will happen to you. So to create a deterrent, first create a deterrent with it, then you can only have a deterrent for China, and it is not so easy. We can sit from air-conditioned room and say that we can create deterrent for China. Well, it is not possible unless it is a collective effort of the countries in and around in this area.
Right.
We will not be able to create a deterrent, but we must strive hard to do it.
Perfectly fine, Brigadier Malhotra. Thank you, sir. Coming to Commodore Sandeep Dhawanji. So, what is your that one critical input to the policymakers to help them come together as the spirit in this webinar is existing today? To actually live up that spirit.
So I have 2 points. One is rely on yourself and nobody else. The code is existing, everything is existing, but if you rely on yourself, how will you rely on yourself? Is today we are getting 75 of our war-making machine from Russia and 25% from the Western countries, and we do not even produce a single assault machine gun. Okay, there's no assault rifle being produced in India. Shameful, because even Pakistan produces more small arms than we produce. So that self-reliance is very, very much required today. Else we forget about being a regional power. We cannot be even South Asian power if we do not get self-reliant in producing our own arms and machinery. That is one part. And second part, I will just expand what Wing Commander Chauhan sir has said, that China is very scared of encirclement. Okay, kind of network they're drawing around us, we have to draw around China. They have the largest land border in the world. 40 countries, they have dispute the land border, all 14 countries. 9 maritime neighbors, they have dispute. That is at 23 points where you can give them lot of cuts and slashes and trouble them. We are not doing it. You have to go all out, all kind of propaganda. Kazakhstan, they have taken 0.7% of their land. Their move is to take Pamir Hills. They are Far East Russia. They are trying to get into there. They have already pushed in 1 million Chinese in that region. So we have to go spread propaganda. They sent 7 lakh Chinese students to study abroad. Exploit them. They send 13.5 million tourists and businessmen travel internationally every year. Exploit them. The China, I'm sorry to say, sir, with the language what I'm going to use, China treats every other person as a whole. They say every person has a value. we will buy you out. What stops you? Everything is fair in war and love and war. So Psalm, Dand, Blade, everything you have to apply.
Right.
Encircle them, self-dependent. Do not get, especially the armed forces requirements. You will be reaching the statehood.
General Pawar, coming to you with the concluding remarks. With that one perspective, I mean, the beautiful inputs are coming in, very, very insightful. I am sure with the help of you people, we will be able to take it up and share on the wider platform at the policymaker level. But before that, we move on to that direction. We request you to conclude the potential policy response of this entire webinar.
See, firstly, I'll comment on that what additional we should do in our policy framework. As on today, our policy framework is primarily the defensive posturing or defensive status.
Right.
We are not supposed to be aggressive. In this case, we have got to think it again and shouldn't be tit for tat. If suppose China intrude in the Galwan, we can intrude at some other place, so that we negotiate with the equal strength on the table there.
Right.
That part can be thought of. It is a policy level matter there. Second part is that when we say that yes, the war has to be fought by the armed forces, and in our country, the accountability of security of the country is with the Secretary of Defense. So it has got to be thought of, because the person who is accountable, his hands should also roll down when some adverse things happens. So they have got to be defined so that every person is very careful, whosoever it is, let it be anybody, but he must be made accountable when some adversity is experienced there.
Great.
Thirdly, the intelligence sharing with the defense forces should not have a stepmotherly treatment, because defense forces, they got their intelligentsia only within our country. External intelligentsia depend upon the law and other agencies. So that should be shared on such a platform so that everyone has got every depth of the information with them. Right. Now, coming to webinar, it has been a great debate on such a relevant subject, which is catching the eyes and the ears of world at large.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Right? You have done a wonderful effort. Kudos to you, Dhiren. Wonderful effort, which has brought very good points from all the speakers, and these points, when they are put together, certainly they will put new light in what directions we need more attention, where we need more investment, where we need more awareness, where we need more soldiering, where we need more political attention.
Thank you,
With these words, I compliment you for organizing this wonderful webinar, and also thank my co-panelists.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. It is a privilege to be with you. I mean, it's my sheer privilege. I mean, otherwise I don't have any words to stand in front of you on this platform, sir. But you've been kind enough to give us your valuable time to organize this webinar. So, single point which I am taking from here is that with China, it's not only the defense war which we have to fight with them. It's a holistic scenario which we have to fight with them, which includes policy, which includes defense, which includes the effective allying with the effective 23 countries which Commander Dhawan mentioned rightly. So with this, I thank you very much once again for your valuable time, sir.
Thank you very much. Dhirendra, thank you very much. Thank you to all the panelists. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you around again once again. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Brigadier Malhotra.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
everyone.
Thank you, General Pawar. Thank you, General Satbeer Singh.
Thank you.
Based on the discussions we had with our veteran defense personnel, we bring the insights for you. China is not just a country, it is an ecosystem. that has multiple dimensions, and unless and otherwise these dimensions are well understood and explored, a potential policy may not be of relevance. India too is not only a country but a metaphor that does have many ecosystems in it, working beautifully in harmony. For any credible deterrence to China, India and its policymaker has to go inside out. In our endeavor to strengthen India, Meri Awaz suggests following to our policymakers. Bystander attitude needs to be transformed into an agile governance culture. India needs a visioning exercise for year 2100 with a milestone-based action plan under the aegis of Prime Minister of geopolitical relations, especially with those who have common interests, should be strengthened by appointing Ambassador China Affairs, who will be solely responsible for swinging trade, defense and diplomacy in India's favor at the world stage. Last but not the least, let the world know about India's political will for an empowered role in the region through its vision and associated actions. Meri Awaz wishes a very happy Independence Day to all fellow Indians. Keep watching Meri Awaz and do subscribe our YouTube channel for purposeful interactions with us. Thank you very much.